Hi Cebu babes, it's your favorite Cebuana, Karencitta, and I want to personally welcome you all back to the Karencitta Show Season 2 family. I'm glad you're here, and there's a reason why you're here. Today's episode is all about celebrating visionary leadership, generational excellence, and what it truly means to build a legacy in the world of hospitality and business. It's such an honor to have a deep conversation with someone who at just 21 years old officially opened the doors of Mezzo Hotel after passing her CPA board exam. Born into a Filipino-Chinese family, she was groomed by her father, Henry Tan, to lead the business. Exposed not only to boardroom decisions, but also to blue-collar experiences like washing dishes, serving food, and handling the front desk. She embraced it all with strategy, heart, and ambition. She graduated magna cum laude in Bachelor of Science in Accountancy from the University of San Carlos and now holds a master's degree in Business Administration from Ateneo Graduate School of Business. One of her first major moves as president of Mezzo Hotel was pushing for ISO certification, a grueling process that took 2.5 years of documentation, training, and system overhaul. Her commitment paid off. Mezzo Hotel is now the only ISO certified hotel in Cebu City. She remains a mentor and a community partner, collaborating with Barangay Mabolo on a gender and development program to train women and the youth in life skills. She's also involved in organizations like the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Taipan Toastmasters, and Cebu Chamber of Commerce, where she was named Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2023. She embodies ambition, grace, and grit, all before hitting her 30s. What I find most powerful about her story is how she truly lives by her favorite Chinese proverb, be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid only of standing still. She's the very definition of modern leadership. Cebu babes, please welcome to the studio, Shannen Keisha Tan. Here you go.
Oh, wow.
This is for you.
Thank you, Karen. Wow.
You're welcome.
I mean, it's so nice to see you after so long,
I know, it's been a while.
It's been a while, so I'm so happy that we get to do this and probably bond over this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming to the studio. I'm really excited to unpack your brain. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. There's nothing inside my brain.
Okay, but I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. You've got 60 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. You can't overthink. You just have to say the first thing that pops into your head.
Got it.
Okay, are you ready?
All right, let's do this.
Let's go. Do you want to drink water first? Like, what's your...
No, let's get into it right away.
Let's go. Okay, John Gilbert, are you ready with the timer? 60 seconds only.
Oh my goodness, what are these questions?
Badminton or violin?
Violin.
What's one app you can't live without?
Facebook.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
What's harder, finance reports or HR issues?
HR issues.
Favorite Chinese dish?
My goodness, there's too many to mention. Oh my gosh. Crab, steamed crab.
What's your go-to coffee order before a long day? What kind of coffee?
Caramel macchiato.
Elevators or stairs?
Elevators.
Swim first or buffet first?
Swim first.
What's one thing you always ask before approving a new hired employee?
What do you look forward to?
What's the most underrated hotel amenity at Mezzo Hotel?
We have something for the fire safety.
Mondays in one word.
Busy.
Leadership in one word.
Integrity.
ISO in one word.
Documents.
What's your love language?
Service.
3 qualities you look for in a guy.
My goodness, very kind, caring, and willing to go the extra mile.
First thing you do when you wake up.
Drink water.
Best piece of advice your dad ever gave you.
If you know how to earn money, you know how to spend money.
One word to describe Mezzo Hotel.
Simple.
I love the exhale. Simple.
Yeah. goodness, that was very intense.
Gosh, we face so many challenges and maintaining our health often takes a back seat. But Immuni Plus helped me stay relieved from stress. It refreshed me throughout the day and recovered from my busy sched. It's a ready-to-drink sachet that supports my immune system naturally. No mixing, no hassle. I've experienced the difference, Sita babes, and I know you will too. Check out Immuni Plus today and take the next step in building a better, healthier you. Relieved, refreshed, recovered. Shan, you're the president of Mezzo Hotel. What does a day in your life typically look like?
I think it's not anything out of the extraordinary. So normally I would head to the office by 8 and then I would turn on my laptop, check my emails.
Emails are the first thing that you do.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, it's so important. I mean, you receive a lot of emails from inside and outside of the organization, so it's important to be very responsive to them.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. Next is we do have our weekly meetings, so I do attend to them. Every Wednesday we have our ops meetings, so we meet with all the department heads, get what the issues are for the day, tackle them. If there's any decisions to be made, we make them there.
Gotcha.
So sometimes I do have certain paperwork that I have to get my signature on, or some checking for work plans for the marketing, or interviews that I might have scheduled with the HR, especially for hiring. Sometimes, of course, go around the hotel, check on the events and everything that's going on.
So you're very hands-on pa rin, even though you're at a very high level of the organizational chart, you still go down to the grounds?
Over the years, I would have to say that I've lessened it already, okay. But then you cannot help it but also still check, every now and then. I'm not saying I do it every single day. Yeah.
No, you're gonna burn out.
Yeah, not every single day, but every now and then when I get the chance to.
The hospitality industry is highly competitive. What sets Mezzo apart from all the other competitors?
That's a very good question, and I think the first thing that comes to my mind is that we're the only ISO certified hotel in Cebu City. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's very tough and grueling.
Definitely very tough, but also very rewarding experience.
But Shannen, for those who don't understand what ISO is, from a consumer or for just an average person that just wants to check in, how do they know that it's an ISO certified hotel? What's like that feeling or a sign that it's an ISO hotel?
Okay, so it's not going to be a very subtle thing, because being ISO certified, especially with what we have, it's for quality management system. It's something more internal. So actually, in a nutshell, if you put it in a nutshell, it actually means continuous improvement. We have a system for continuously improving our processes.
Okay.
And I think we hope that our guests would actually appreciate it through the service that we give and the improvement that we've given over the years.
What does the brand represent to you? I did some research and I found that it's a new dimension of luxury, and there's also another source that says make it Mezzo. For those who haven't visited Mezzo Hotel yet, what does the brand represent to you?
So Mezzo really is something that's very close to me, and I feel like in a way it does represent me, because I like it to be simple, minimalist, but elegant. So that's pretty much...
I love that!
Yes.
Simple, elegant, and...
minimalist.
Wow, okay.
Yes, and we hope that it gives that feeling of comfort, you know.
What were some of the toughest challenges you faced managing a hospitality brand in a post-pandemic world? Can you expound to our Sita babes what Mezzo is at its core?
Post-pandemic, I think the challenge really was bringing in the guests back again, because during the pandemic, during COVID especially, we were only serving OFWs who were returning from outside the country to the Philippines. We could not cater to any other.
So it was
guests.
like a lockdown space area for the OFWs, because there was a time where you had to like stay in for a month before getting released.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So they were repatriated, so they had to stay a few days before going to their provinces or to their hometowns.
Okay.
And that's what we had to do. So post-pandemic, it was more of a transition about how do we reintroduce ourselves, or how do we tell the market that we're still here, we're still up and running, and and we're still ready to serve our guests. One of the things that we did was during the pandemic, we did start planting seeds. So for example, we did introduce the idea of intimate weddings because then there was a limitation, right, as to how many can attend or be inside a room. So when we introduced the intimate weddings, it was a good opportunity for us to actually get a good market for weddings. And I'm very happy to share that we really have a growing number of weddings that we host every single month.
Like from big wedding halls, you pivoted towards intimate weddings.
Yes, that's right. But after the pandemic, it was also a way for us to slowly grow it from an intimate one to a bigger one.
Larger scale wedding.
Yes, that's right.
Shannen, how do you define leadership?
That's a long pause right there, right?
Yeah.
But I think, as cliche as it sounds, it's really leadership by example. And I think that's how I've been doing things my whole life, because I don't want people to think that I'm just here to give lip service, right? So we want to, of course, show everyone that I'm also working hard. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just making things up. And of course, to hopefully inspire them to also get the work done.
Bill Gates says it very well, Sita Babes. He says, leadership is not about being the best. It's about making everyone else better. And our function is to produce more leaders, to have a really good eye in talent and honing their talent. No, we're trying to produce more leaders and not more followers. Shannen, let's talk about your ISO certification journey. One of your first major moves as president was pushing for the ISO certification. What inspired you to take on such a rigorous standard so early on into your leadership?
One thing that I did notice, especially when we talk about family-run businesses, is that we tend to do things on our own, or like we like to do things in a more or less structured manner. So I thought that introducing the ISO certification would actually force us to document our processes, force people to actually know what step 1, 2,
I love
and 3 is.
the term force.
I know, right? But people sometimes would appreciate more the whole process if there's actually a third party, auditing us. If there's someone looking after us. So
not you, but a third party.
Yes, that's right. So it does not in any way diminish the fact that we have to do internal checks, internal audits, but having a third party do that actually gives a better validation in terms of how we've managed to maintain standards, or what things we would like to improve, because sometimes when we're too stuck with what we already have, we tend to be blindsided about what other people see also.
Interesting.
Although it's additional cost for the cost of quality.
Yes, it's very costly.
Yes, but I think at the end of the day, it's worth it, because at least every single year, everything gets updated. And this,
right.
We would always want updated records, right?
What's the most challenging part for you, Shan, during the 2.5 years of processing the ISO certification?
It's definitely the documentation.
Okay.
Because I think in a nutshell, it's best when there are words or there are processes documented. If it's just verbal, then everyone tends to forget it. And sometimes it's very hard, like there's always that discrepancy from what you're actually doing to what's on paper, and trying to sync and trying to check which one's a better approach to it. And we have so many departments involved. So getting everyone on board, getting all the processes documented for each department really is a very bloody process.
What's like the biggest learning during that journey?
Really grit. You could so many times, because initially we were told that it would only take 6 months for us to complete everything, and it took us 30 months. So
wow.
we could have easily just gave up, right? Yes.
Yeah.
But, just pushing through it and finishing it really taught us the grit that we need, especially in managing the pandemic and post-pandemic.
Okay. You mentioned that a lot of people had to leave the company because maybe they didn't pass, the performance-based metric, or They just didn't live up to par to what you were looking for in an employee during that ISO transition, or they couldn't adjust, you know. How did you handle that emotionally? Seeing employees leave because they couldn't handle the adjustment?
To be honest, when I first started working, I could not help but also cry, when it gets so difficult. I mean, when you're just starting out and people are also, quite difficult to manage. And when you're young, sometimes you get offended quite easily in a way.
I mean, it as an offense.
Yeah,
wow.
But not necessarily like them being, like bastos, no, not like that.
Yeah.
But it's more of being quite emotional about them leaving, and would you find a better person to replace them and things like that.
Emotional stress.
Yes,
that
definitely.
comes with employees
Definitely.
leaving.
And one thing that I did learn though is that whether we like it or not, people come and go, and it's something that we have to manage, especially at the HR level. So we have to talk about trainings, we also have to talk about engagement, and we also have to talk about employee retention, which is very important.
What were the main reasons why the employees had to leave because they couldn't adjust? Like, what's the main reason? Is it an attitude problem? Is it just like the performance wasn't there?
One could also be attitude, and second probably would be a cultural misfit. Maybe they did not see the culture of the company to fit them well.
During the transition,
yes,
a lot of things are changing and they're so like used to what it used to be.
Yes, and when we do reintroduce changes, it would be harder for them to accept and manage that, and accept that we need to learn and grow up as well.
What does modern leadership mean to you, especially as a young woman in a traditionally male-dominated industry? It's a very tough question, I know, but like we really have to set the tone for our listeners, to all the young girls looking up to us. What does modern leadership mean to you?
I think at the very start of it, modern leadership is about leading yourself first.
Wow.
Because if you don't know how to lead yourself, how can you lead others? You cannot give what you do not have. So it's important to be able to equip yourself with both the technical and also the leadership skills, so that when you do talk to people, you also carry that kind of influence so that they can also follow you.
What does success look like for you?
I think success is when everyone's happy. I think it's a very superlative term, but I think I would define success that way, where everyone's happy, our guests are happy, our employees are happy,
wow,
stakeholders are happy.
What values are non-negotiable for you when you run your business?
Number one would be integrity.
Okay.
So, it's especially when we talk about the leadership side of things, it's very important that you could give everyone the trust, and they can also give that trust to you, because once that trust is broken, it's very difficult. So I think integrity would be important, because everything would then follow.
Right. For me, on the other hand, Sita Babes, my non-negotiable is work ethic. John Gilbert's like giving me the side eye. Work ethic is so big to me, having the sense of grit, like what you said, the drive, the stamina, the fortitude to really just push through all the challenges and struggles, because a lot of people just give up at the sign of challenge.
I agree. I mean, I do agree with you that work ethic is important.
For me, that's number one. For you, it's integrity. Yes. What do you enjoy the most about being an entrepreneur, and what do you don't enjoy the most?
Okay.
Yeah. Let's pretend that your employees are not watching.
I'm stripping myself naked. Oh, joke. Well, I think what I do enjoy about being an entrepreneur is, I think, for one, is I do have ownership or control of my time. Yes. Although I'm not saying that I'm going to be absent anytime, but what I'm just trying to say is that if you have to insert personal matters or other things, you don't have to feel so bad about being absent, that kind of thing.
Right. What do you not enjoy about being an entrepreneur?
I think, as ironic as it sounds, I think personally, I hate handling people.
That is very hard. That is one of the most difficult things to do.
That's right. I mean, I think that's why it's so ironic, because it's part of my day-to-day job to deal with people, and yet it's something that I don't like doing. But then you do learn, during the process, right?
Right. For me, for instance, when an employee comes into my office or studio, the first thing that I think about is, am I going to manage this person, or am I going to manage the situation that they're in, or the situation that we have?
That's right.
Or all of the above.
That's right.
Right? So I definitely agree that managing people is very hard.
I mean, until today, I'm still learning how to do that. I've been working for quite a few years now, a number of years, and it's still something that I'm trying to learn. So I'm still continuously experimenting different approaches just to see which one works. But then, everyone's different, so the way we deal with each person is really different.
What is your definition of emotional resilience?
Emotional resilience is being able to acknowledge how you feel, but not making this a hindrance for you to keep going on.
You were only 21 when Mezzo officially opened under your leadership. What was the most intimidating part for you entering that stage of your life? I think I read somewhere in a source, or maybe it's a rumor, just I want you to tell me if this is true or not. You told your dad, what if dili na ko kaya? And your dad said, kaya ra gyud nimo day as long as you will focus.
He did say that.
Wow!
Yeah.
Tama ang research!
Yes. I think the most intimidating part is that this being a family business and it being, entrusted on me to run is more of, I don't want to fail anyone. Yes, and I think that's why it's quite intimidating, because I don't want to fail anyone. I want to do my best, but of course, I'm just starting out.
How did you push through that mental space where you didn't want to fail anyone? Because for me, failure is part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
I've embraced the failures. Okay, what did I learn from that? That's a blessing. What did I learn from that? Okay, let's apply it to the next one, and then the next one.
Exactly. That's a process, and in a whole sense, I just had to trust on the support of my family and friends.
Wow.
And it really means a lot when your parents are there to support you. If you fail, they're there for you, and they tell you it's okay. It means a lot.
For sure, you went through so much starting at 21. How did you deal with the setbacks, the self-doubt? Take us through the emotional journey.
Believe it or not, I did cry a lot, I mean, I'm a very emotional person, but one of the ways that I do release myself of the stress that I have is really to cry it out, because I feel like once I do, it makes me clear my mind space better. So I think it was a good exercise for me, and I think being able to share it with someone, or sharing what you're going through with someone who actually understands, was really helping me a lot.
That's so interesting. Do you have your own circle of friends that are in the same position that you're in, or you just trust your mom? Just your mom or a sibling? Do you have a safety net or a safety circle where you can confide in? Because as human beings, as women, most importantly, having a community or a moral support group is part of our survival. We just instantly feel way much better just by talking to each other about what we're going through, and we can relate to each other.
That's right. I do have a circle of friends, and I think we're both the same in a way that we do have certain things we discuss to certain friends.
Okay.
And I think that's how I go about it. Like, if I have a friend that I discuss about business or my problems with business, I also have another friend that I discuss to about my personal struggles and things like that. So I do have a good circle of friends who are always there for me.
What is the biggest lesson that your dad taught you about finance and then about life in general?
If you know how to earn, you know how to spend. What he wanted to emphasize with that whole thing was that sometimes we also need to be able to enjoy life. It's not just about save, save, save. Although it's very important to save, but I think you just get burnt out if you just keep saving and not reward yourself, It's also his business philosophy of, you need to know how to make your own money so you could also enjoy your money kind of thing. So like the more capacity you have to earn money, the more you can enjoy it.
That makes so much sense. The independence, the freedom, the financial freedom, right? Did you always have a sense of pressure from your dad or a heavy responsibility?
I think the pressure would primarily be internal. Although I know my dad does expect something or sees me highly, or
to really perform.
But I think for me, I would think that the internal pressure that I give on myself would probably be heavier than what they're expecting from me.
Because you're your biggest competitor? Is that how you see that?
And I'm a perfectionist.
Wow.
There's always that constant struggle of like, okay, am I being too lax with myself? Or am I being too hard on myself? So it's always a battle of the two, because of course, for me, if I go too easy on myself, then I think there's no drive to do better. But yet, if I do put myself in a very difficult situation, then it would just wear me down.
How do you balance family dynamics within the business?
We're very lucky that, me and my siblings, we are in a very good relationship. At the end of the day, if it's just money, then it's just money. So why will you fight your sibling over money? Now that I come to think of things, it doesn't matter really about whether each of us would get a fair share of the family business and things like that.
What really matters to you?
I think what really matters is the relationship. And I hope that, over the next years, decades, even down to the next generation, we would continue to have a great relationship with each other.
Before we end this deep conversation, Sita Babes, we're gonna ask our finale question. This is called the Healing Playlist, Shan. What's a piece of art or song or lyric that you resonate with the most that impacted your life?
I'm a lover of classical music, and my favorite is the Tchaikovsky concerto. So it's something that I like going back to every now and then and listen, because in a way I feel like the whole concerto has a range of emotions, and I resonate deeply with that.
And this is where we will end our conversation. Shannen, thank you so much for spending time with me today. It has been a while. I love this deep conversation. To all the Sita Babes that are tuned in, I hope you were able to reflect on your own journey and how you can use this episode, this knowledge that Shannen shares with us, to propel your life forward. Don't just watch this, Sita Babes. Please share this with a friend who might need to hear this episode. I kind of like thinking of every relationship like a string that starts with hey and it stretches all the way through life. And every conversation along that string is like a little light bulb. The more real conversations we have, the brighter that string glows. This is your favorite Cebuana, Karencitta of the Karencitta Show, Season 2. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep creating, keep building, and always stay open to the deeper narrative. And I'll see you next week. Showing up in style, that is bare minimum. Whether I'm in the studio or in the boardroom, H&M is my plug. Just like Cebuana, it's fashion that hits. Fashion and quality at the best price in a sustainable way. Always H&M. Surprise! Since you're a loyal Sita Babe, I'm giving you a limited time 10% off discount on your next lash appointment at Yash Eyelash Cebu. Just use my code #YashKarencitta10. You're welcome! Hi, Sita Babes. As a global creative director, I navigate both the creative and entrepreneurial worlds. I've always been in the pursuit for the untold narrative, the lessons that lie beneath the surface, and the unique perspectives that can shape a deeper connection within our community. It's these incredible stories that shape who we are and connect us in unexpected ways. Welcome to the Karencitta Show, Season 2. We're going to have intimate and inspirational conversations with thought leaders about topics that truly matter. After all, we all have a story to tell. Make sure you follow us on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts.